Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Uh, Welcome to this 261 virtual panel, and thank you from all of us at 261 for tuning in. My name is Joann Flaminio, and I serve as the board chair and president of 261 Club New England. But probably more important in this context, I previously was the first and only president of the Boston Athletic Association. There is nobody more heartbroken than I am to be coming to you virtually as part of this Boston Marathon main stage virtual panel brought to you by Conventures and the Boston Athletic Association. Given these strange, sad, and unprecedented times, there was no way to safely stage the Boston Marathon from Hopkinton to Boston this year. Mass participation events in the city of Boston will only be allowed when it's safe to have them. For that, we must wait a while. And so I'm going to say to you, continue running wherever you are, or wherever your running takes you in the days ahead. But the longest continuously run marathon in the world must go on, if only in this different and virtual way. So for this year, lace up those running sneakers wherever you are. And I promise you that at some point next year, the 125th Boston Marathon, the real Boston Marathon, will be back stronger than ever. I'm going to take my B.A.A. hat off. It's an honor for 261 Fearless to present this panel. We are a global nonprofit dedicated to empowering women through running. Women involved with our organization aim to give back and help other women to change their lives by being active. How do we do this? We do this with our 261 education program and a series of local clubs around the world where women reach out to other women and show them in a safe, non-judgmental atmosphere how to run healthy and with joy. We would love to have you join us and be part of this global movement. So if you're interested, please go to 261fearless.org so you can learn how you too can enjoy our community and also give other women the opportunity to become empowered by running and being part of this 261 global running network. We know a lot of women feel strongly about giving back. Here's an opportunity for you to do so. But today, we are not talking about how to get through your next marathon. Instead, we are hearing from game-changing, fearless women who have taken their running and parlayed it. They are also giving back through running in different ways, incredible ways. We want to explore how and why they have done that and why it is important for all of us everywhere to do the same. 261 Fearless wants to inspire you beyond running and provide you with all the inspiration that you'll need to make a difference in your community. So let me briefly introduce today's speakers to you. Edith Zuschmann, who's coming to you from Austria, is the president, CEO, and co-founder of 261 Fearless nonprofit. She is responsible for all aspects of the day-to-day administration of our 12-country, 5-continent network of 5,000 women. She has worked as a sports journalist and sports project manager. She is a graduate of the University of Applied Sciences, Wiener Neustadt, Austria, where she still lectures on public relations and sports. She is a nationally certified running coach, as well as a competitive runner and swimmer. I can tell you that she still swims.
Okay. Yes, I do.
JL Alexander is the CEO and owner of Black Girls Run. Wow. This 250,000 strong organization was founded in 2009 to tackle the growing obesity epidemic in the African American community and to encourage, motivate, and provide resources, particularly running resources, to help Black women practice a healthy lifestyle. JL's background is in communications, and she is also the owner of The Vaughn Strategy, a public relations strategy consulting firm. Her professional work has been greatly enhanced by the addition of running in her life. She completed her first marathon in 2014, and I see all those medals behind you for all the other completed races that you've done. Drum roll, please. Last but not least is Kathrine Switzer, coming to you from New Zealand. I should add that JL is in Richmond, Virginia today. But Kathrine is the board chair and co-founder of 261 Fearless. But she is probably best known to you as the first woman to register for and run the Boston Marathon in 1967. She was accosted in the race by an angry official who tried to rip off her bib, you know the famous picture, 261, and throw her out of the race because she was a woman. She finished the race and went on to win the 1974 New York City Marathon. She is a fearless advocate for women's running and was instrumental in the Olympics' decision to add the Women's Olympic Marathon in 1984. Fast forward 50 years, in 2017, at age 70, she ran the Boston Marathon, 50 years after her historic 1967 run. At that time, the Boston Athletic Association retired her famous number, 261, which has become 261 Fearless, the nonprofit. Okay, we only have 50 minutes this afternoon or this morning, so we will try to use them as wisely as we can for you. So, for our first question for our panelists, and I'm giving you 3 minutes to complete your answer. Why is it so important in your life to give back? Why did you decide to take this path? And I'm going to start with Edith, to be followed by JL and Kathrine. So Edith, go right ahead.
Thank you, Joann. Well, sports and especially running has given so much to me. Actually, it's given my life, and it has started when I was a girl, because my dream was to become an athlete, and and I know out of my history that it is not granted that you can do sports, that you are allowed to become an athlete. And actually, it was my grandmom who helped me, because my family is not very traditional in sports. But she was the only one who believed in me and helped me to become a swimmer. And she was my inspiration. She supported me, and I was able to do the sports. And then there were many other mentors like Kathrine, and teachers and coaches who helped me to become the person I am, and that I can live the dream, that I'm still working in sports, that and now I'm at the point where I want to give back. Like my grandmother, with her passion for swimming, helped me into swimming. I want to help with my passion, other women to get into running and take their first running step and find the same joy and fearlessness I found through sports. And and giving back is so rewarding, and I can really, say nothing more than give it a try.
Okay, JL?
Yeah, so there's a quote by Maya Angelou that says, people will forget what you said to them, people will forget what you did for them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I definitely live by that quote, in that through Black Girls Run, we want women to feel empowered. We want women to feel encouraged, to feel motivated on the pavement, to feel that they have a support system behind them to hold them accountable and to help them be healthy and active in their life. And so through that, everything that I do through Black Girls Run, I want to make sure that people feel good. And I think we're able to do that by giving back to the community, by providing a system, providing a support system, providing a community where people are able to give back to each other by making them feel good. And I think that's a legacy that we want to leave with Black Girls Run, and just as people all over the country, that, we just have to be kind to each other. And I'm fortunate enough that we're able to be kind through the sport of running, through the activity of health and fitness. And we just want to continue to give back. And I think as we make our people and our community healthier, we're even giving back to the next generation as well, to teach them how to be healthier and more active. So just the act of just making people feel good giving back through that, I think that's what is so motivating about the power of just giving back to the next person behind you.
And finally, Kathrine?
Well, I think I entered this field not so much as a choice, but got thrust into it. Everybody knows the story about how in the Boston Marathon in 1967, when you introduced me, the official ran out on the course at 1.5 miles and tried to throw me out of the race, rip off my bib numbers. There they are, the old numbers right there. And get the hell out of my race, he said, and give me those numbers. And in a flash, I had to make the decision about what I was going to do. I mean, I was only 20. I was scared. I felt like I should step off the course. Instead, I made the decision to finish the race because I knew if I didn't do it, that nobody would believe women could do it and deserve to be there. And so I persisted and finished the race. And so what happened after that were 3 things. One, I was angry. And anger can be really very powerful and very motivating. I was nice, but I was really angry. And I knew I was right, and I was determined to prove I was right. So there was that anger that was constantly motivating me. The second thing is I had passion. I loved to run. I loved the feeling of freedom and fearlessness that ever since I was a little girl that running gave me. And I wanted other women to feel that way. And they were afraid of it. And so the third thing is my dad had always told me to take responsibility for whatever you start, finish it. And I said, I had this overwhelming sense of responsibility to help other women feel the same way and to have the opportunities. They were afraid of their sense of limitation. They were afraid of the old myths that had come down for thousands of years. They were afraid of body image. JL was referring to that. And I wasn't afraid. And so I felt responsible for trying to create the opportunities for them to have that same sense of empowerment and joy that Edith mentioned, that is so important. So I would never have believed this passion and this anger and this sense of responsibility would become a career, but it has all my life, and it continues and continues and will continue forever.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kathrine. I often read the New York Times, and I read David Brooks, who is an opinion columnist for the New York Times. He recently, this is not his last book, but he wrote a book called The Second Mountain, in which he describes the first and the second mountain. The first mountain is always achievement, self-satisfaction. I went to high school. My parents didn't graduate from high school. I went to college. My parents didn't graduate from college. I went to law school. My parents didn't even know what to think about that one. And then had a successful and long-term career for many, many years, first in public service, and then at Fidelity Investments. And what David Brooks says in the book is that after a while, you get tired of always climbing. Always climbing the mountain, always having it be about you, because it seems like there's always somebody who is more successful, has more money, and is always better than you. So do you really have that sense of happiness or joy? And so then he says the second mountain is all about service and helping other people. So I guess, at this ripe old age, my life has sort of shifted. It's no longer about the next achievement, the next mountain I can climb in terms of, accolade. It's more about sharing wisdom and providing service. At many points in my life, people have been very kind to me. There were things that happened, there were outliers and getting into the right college or whatever. So it's my turn at this point to turn around and provide the next generation, the people behind me, with some of the ideas, the wisdom, the experiences, the help that was given to me. So that's the reason that I really try to give back. And that's where my life is at this point in my life. Moving along to the next question. There's going to be 2 more questions, and you get, rather than 3 minutes, you only have to talk for 2 minutes. So each of you has taken a fearless leap by making a major life decision, whether through your career choice, unusual career choice, Black girls run. I mean, is that unbelievable, or personal, financial, or time commitment. For instance, I decided to accept the presidency of the B.A.A. as the first woman to do so in 131 years. It was a big leap for me, to say the very least. What is your biggest fearless leap so far? And can you name one specific thing that gave you the courage to make that decision? So again, 2 minutes for your answer, and I'll come back with another question. And so let's go in the same order. So Edith, you have 2 minutes to answer the question. I feel like I'm a game show host, but go ahead.
2 minutes, and honestly, I have to share it because I would like to tell briefly two things. Or two stories. The very first fearless step I did in my life was to break a family tradition, because my parents had the idea that I become or take over their business, but I decided to become an athlete. And I was the very firstborn child who did that. And yeah, it was new field. They didn't know what to do with a girl that is in sports. I didn't know how to act on the stage. But with every step, with every fear I overcame, yeah, I became fearless. And it's been a great journey. And I'm happy to say that my parents are proud of myself, or of me, and I'm proud of myself. And this fearlessness also, and this is the second story, helped me to be fearless, to found together with Kathrine 261 Fearless, a global organization which is registered in a country I'm not a resident, where I'm not a resident. So speaking in a second language, getting familiar with the legal things in the United States and so on. So that was quite a very fearless step, but it feels good. And I'm also very happy that with this fearless step, I can help other women.
Okay, moving on to JL.
I mean, just most recently, I would probably say my most fearless step was probably definitely taking a leap of faith to purchase Black Girls Run and really make this a full-time career in terms of where I see the community going. What really motivated me was probably really my family and then the community that we really support. Because my first response was no. I was like, no, I'm not interested. So I really had to do some soul searching, really had to do just some time with family, and really just hearing from the community, just understanding that this purpose was much larger than me, but it needed someone to take a step out on faith. And so it's been 2.5 years later. And so obviously I'm still kind of a little bit wet behind the ears, but still learning. But it's definitely been very rewarding. So yeah, so that's probably been my biggest leap so far. And then at the same time, expanding my family. My son will be a year old next month. So at the same time, learning how to be a new mother as well as a business owner can be a heavy lift at sometimes. So we're maneuvering through as best as possible. But I think, again, even with my son and motherhood, if I didn't have a village and a community behind me to support me as I kind of go along through this journey, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Terrific. And finally, Kathrine.
Well, I have to hand it to you, JL. I mean, I never could go the children route. That was the ultimate fearless thing. So congratulations to you, I'll tell you. Joann, contrary to popular belief, my biggest fearless leap was not running the 1967 Boston Marathon, okay? And for a long time, I actually thought my biggest fearless leap was creating the Avon International Running Circuit back in the 70s and early 80s. 27 countries, 400 races. Campaigning with each of the federations to get the women's marathon in the Olympic Games. It was a breathtaking experience for me. And so life went on. And then I have to tell you, like Edith, my biggest fearless leap actually was co-founding with Edith Zuschmann, 261 Fearless, a nonprofit, a global nonprofit, creating opportunities for women who had, in many cases, no opportunities whatsoever in both education and running. I mean, we were going into the unknown. And we are still we're a young organization, as you know. and we're on the right path. But for me, we started this, I was 68 years old. I'm 73 now. And the biggest fearless thing I have done is I've had to learn to give it away. I've had to learn to entirely trust you guys, my team, because frankly, you know, nonprofits don't reach fruition for a number of years. And as I say, we're on the right path, but I might not actually live to see the fruition, the full fruition. So I have to trust completely and give it away. I can't lead it. I have to let other people lead it. And that has been really hard for me. I'm not a control freak, but for so many years of my life, I have been the only one, you know, who is responsible. So it's been an amazing, amazing ride. I remember when we started this, Edith, I screamed and yelled. I said, I'm 68 years old. I'm too old for another revolution. She said, no, 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 we won't bug you that much. But anyway, it is an amazing feeling. And I must say, it's huge to take this leap. So that is my biggest fearless leap. Amazing.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And I guess I'm supposed to add something as well. I guess I'll just tell a very short story. In one of my first trips for the B.A.A., I was supposed to go to the Ome Marathon in Ome, Japan, and I was going with somebody else. And the one and only Gloria Ratty, who Edith and Kathrine know. And so when I was going up the staircase at Logan International Airport, she was coming down the staircase saying, I forgot my passport, I'll see you tomorrow. So I found myself about 24 hours later at a buffet table with a lot of fish in the middle that was not cooked at all. And the next thing I hear is, and now to speak with you from the Boston Athletic Association, Joann Flaminio. And I got up in this white room with tables and tables of runners and their coaches and other people involved with the marathon, none of whom could understand a word I was saying. And I thought to myself, how surreal is this? And I thought to myself, if I could do that, if I could manage that speech and that performance that evening, then I can do anything. So my only other tidbits are, you know, I live by a saying by Eleanor Roosevelt, you got to do the things that you think you cannot do. So if you think you can't do it, then plow through it. And you know what else? The men have done it before, so we can't be any worse than them. So all of you out there thinking of a particular challenge or escapade or adventure, just plow through and go for it. You can do it. Second question, and again, you get 2 minutes. What message do you want to give to other women who are on their way, who might be behind you? And you know, why are women so important in the field of running? What kind of opportunities, what kind of responsibilities do they have? What kind of advice would you give them? So I guess that's the same order. So Edith, I'm going to start with you. And you probably have some good tidbits as you are beginning to sort of fill out this incredible nonprofit with people and coaches and different folks. So go ahead.
Well, when you're a runner and you run out there with a big smile on your face and you enjoy it, you do a lot already because you become a role model. I want to give you an example. When I go out for a run and I come back and my stepdaughter or my little niece with her 12 years sees me this way, energized, full of energy and a smile on my face, they understand, hey, if you're active, if you go out for a run, you can feel the same. So each runner, woman or man, we become role models when we behave this way and when we show it to others. And we are often looking so concentrated and focused, oh, what can I do to give back? Just do what you love, share the passion with the people around you, and it will be spreaded. And this is also the very first step I tell to women who are interested to become club directors or 261 coaches. Show this feeling, feel it, do it, and then the first step is done. and it will roll easily. And this is my message to all the runners out there, women and men. Live your role model role, and you give a lot to the people around you.
JL, what kind of advice do you have? What have you learned from being the CEO of Black Girls Run?
Probably the biggest thing for me is just to tell your story. So many of us, we go through the same situations or very, very similar situations in life. And sometimes we're ashamed or we just don't talk about it. And I really feel like as we tell our story, I think that brings more transparency. It builds stronger relationships. We're able to relate with each other a lot more, whether it's through the sport of running or just in life in general. So very often I tell the women in our organization, you know, we all started somewhere. We all didn't just start running, you know, a 9-minute mile overnight, or we didn't just start running a marathon today. We all came from someplace. So talk about where you came from, talk about the journey, talk about the struggles, talk about the highs and lows. And I think as a people, we can be able to become stronger together if we recognize that we all come from humble beginnings. And if we recognize that, it really helps to make an even playing field to make sure that we can be stronger together and remain connected. So my simple advice is really just to tell your story.
Okay, great. Very interesting. And finally, Kathrine?
Well, not finally, Joanne, you're going to be final. But first of all, I just like to say, I think that we as women really have a huge responsibility to help other women. And I think we've got to realize that we need to hang together here. So often women have been divisive in the past because they tried to protect their territories. They were jealous. We need to really work together. And the first biggest piece of advice I think I have for women is let's start with your own house and your own kids. Raise your boys and your girls equally with equal opportunity and equal respect, so that little boys grow up respecting little girls grow up trusting guys. I mean, I know thousands of men who would like to see women succeed. So this is not women hating men. Every guy in the Boston Marathon has always been wonderful to me, and throughout running, I believe that they've helped us a lot with our being here. So, but women need also to support other women in a big way. So let's start with our own kids. And the second thing is I guess I'm going to just sort of imitate what you said, JL, which is we need simply sometimes just to reach out, just to give somebody a hand, just to say, hey, I'm your friend, whether it's in your own community, starting in your own community, your own patch, that's what you're familiar with, of creating, say, hey, come run with me, come walk with me, be my friend. But then reach out beyond that community. And that's when you have to extend yourself a little bit into a different comfort zone and really say, okay, this is not my community, but I'm here. I'm also your friend. Let's talk and let's get to know each other. And so I think right now we're in a particularly amazing time. COVID-19 has really, really taught us a lot, that we are forced to change. We have to change. Everybody said everything's changing. Well, it is. The world has changed, but it's also a huge opportunity. We really have an opportunity to innovate, to look at adversity. And my old story is always take the adversity, turn it upside down. What's the opportunity in here? And we can recreate the world. The world is crying for change now. So we have big opportunities. And I think we also have to remember one of the founding principles of 261 Fearless was, you're not alone out there. And for us as women to realize you're not sitting there by yourself. There are an awful lot of people out there who are craving for your friendship and your community. So let's reach out. That's the biggest message, I think.
Wow. Terrific, all of you. The only thing I think I can add is to talk a little bit about running from my perspective, which is more in the organization and the administration and the leadership for some of the big running executive posts. I guess my message to women is, if they can, is to not only run, but to get involved. You know, we need more women race organizers. We need more women who sit on the boards of athletics, including running and other sports organizations, because that's the only way that our needs as women will be represented. You know, it's not enough sometimes to only win the race. You've got to be able to talk about the race. And the more you can talk about the race in places of power, the more you do for all of us. You know, Michelle Obama says, it's not enough to have a seat at the table. You got to talk at the table. You know, you simply can't be in the background. You have to sit up front and make your voice and your message heard. And only then, I think, is when we change the world and make it better for all of us. And in so doing, create an inclusive and an equitable society. So I would tell women to sort of, you know, just don't let the men do it all. You know, step up to the plate, get on those boards and run those organizations. So that's my piece of advice on that. And
Hey, Joann, can I just tag this? This is so important because we've all said this before. People say to me, but Kathrine, how do I get involved? How do I get a position on the board? And you know what? Everybody in this panel is the same way. Show up.
Right.
Show up. All you have to do is show up. You're going to get the job. And take responsibility. Do not be lazy. Do not stand back. Show up. Take responsibility.
And preparation. You know, one thing that I always think about is that, you know, as a lawyer, you have to come prepared. You got to do your homework. You got to volunteer. And then I think and then if you do all of that, it's hard for anybody to ignore you. You know, if you raise your hand and you've done the work, then things will come to you. So that's some advice. Okay. Let's see, we cannot take questions on this Zoom call, unfortunately, as it is being recorded. So I'd like to ask our speakers this final question, and you can be very brief. That's what my script says. So you can be very brief in answering this question. Each of you have done a bit of public speaking on the importance of giving back. When you finish a speech and people come up to you, and I know Kathrine, hundreds, thousands of women have been coming up to Kathrine for years at every running expo across the world. What is the question that you get the most? What do they say to you? So Edith, you start, and then we'll go to JL, Kathrine, and then we'll close. I can say a few words.
So it often happens when I talk about 261 Fearless, and we are a global nonprofit, and the local organizations only work, or they can only succeed through volunteers. So one of the biggest questions I get, what do I get out of it to be a volunteer? And all I can say, hey, you can learn so much. You get so much, you give a lot, definitely, time, perhaps also money and energy, but you get much more back. It's very rewarding. And also, JL said it, is so much coming back to you. Second, you can learn quite a lot about yourself, and especially for women, like you said, Joann, if we want to not only have a seat at the table, if we want to speak loud at the table, a nonprofit or a volunteering job can help you to learn that. And if you're a 261 coach, you learn leadership. You can get so many skills. So it's definitely the time and the effort worth. And third, being a volunteer in a global organization or even a local one, it doesn't matter, gives you the opportunity to meet people you wouldn't have met. So, for example, through 261, I was able to meet you, Joann, but I could meet JL and many other women around the world. And to create this network, this is so crucial for each woman if you want to create a career, but also for your private life. For example, when I go to Richmond, I'm very much looking forward running with JL and with you too, Kathrine and Joann. So do it and give it a try.
JL?
I would have probably say two questions, and it depends on the context of where I am. So first question, I'm going to say in a room that's not full of runners. People may ask, how do I start running? Like, how do I just start? And really, there's no right answer to that. I think you just got to start. I think it's more of a mental than a physical thing sometimes. So, I tell people, you have to figure out if this is the right thing for you. I promise once you start, it gets a little bit easier. But then probably the second question that I get in a room full of runners and everybody who kind of understands what Black Girls Run is, people are like, why are you doing so much? And so I have a passion that really fuels me right now, just to, make the most of the time that we have. Like, Kathrine said, COVID-19 has really made a lot of things very clear, of things that we take for granted, for things that we realize can easily be taken away and not have access to. And so it's really just making the best use of the one life that we're given. So the opportunity to give back, or the opportunity to participate in this race, or the opportunity, we're only given one opportunity, one life. And so we really have to take advantage of it. So very often, I do feel that I've probably put too much on my plate, but then I often feel very fortunate that I'm put in particular positions that I really can really use it to the benefit of really helping others. So those would probably be my two questions that I get on a regular basis.
Kathrine?
Yeah, I think the question I get asked most often is, what makes you still so determined? It's been years and years and years, and I am still determined. The answer is really very simple, and that is, we're surrounded by social injustice. We're surrounded by it every day. Again, in this time of this strange year, we have seen it more than ever, with the rioting in the streets and the protest. And it's time, it's time, people, let's go, come on. So we're surrounded by social injustice, and people don't think they can do anything about it when that's so wrong. Everybody can make some change. Everybody, maybe it's just a little change, but you can do something. I guess the message I just like to leave is that the world is crying out for you. And you can do something. You are so much more powerful than you ever believed. It's just as JL said, you get started, you put on your shoes and you go out the door. That's what you do. You just put one foot in front of the other. It's very, very, very simple. Just believing and understanding, taking that first step, you are much more powerful than you ever believed. And also, is a sense of gratitude that we are in great, all four of us have mentioned that we are very privileged to be in a position. It was thrust on us, but we are grateful for the responsibility. And I think everybody should be grateful for that.
Okay, thanks, Kathrine. I have to say, as an aside, that whenever I'm in a crowd and Kathrine is speaking, I always say to the person next to me, she doesn't have to be doing this. It's like, this is like, such energy and enthusiasm and gratitude always coming out of your speeches and your presentations and your thoughtfulness to everyone. And I don't know how you do it every single day, but I count me as an admirer, because you are unbelievable. So you are. So anyways, so the questions I get, I think, as a representative of the Boston Athletic Association, he says, number one, why do you have time requirements for the Boston Marathon, and why are they so hard? And I'm never going to be qualified. And my second question is, given the fact that I'm not going to be able to qualify, can you get me in? Can you get me into the Boston Marathon? So those are the questions that I get the most often. How can I get to that starting line? And more often than not, there's really not much I can do. But anyways, I do get the question more often than not. So, hey, the time is up, but I want to thank everyone for attending. I especially want to thank TK Skandarian of Conventures for allowing us to be part of the main stage virtual panel that will accompany all the activities that are going to go on September 7th to September 14th as part of our 124th Boston Marathon virtual experience. I want to tell everyone on behalf of Kathrine and Edith and JL, who have all been great today, to remember to keep running, stay healthy, be safe, and most importantly, be fearless. Thank you so much.